Tidal Wave. That's the Transformers Armada Tidal Wave, and we're going to take a look at him in the latest GotBot True review, and we're going to compare him to the recently updated version of this character from the Siege on Cybertron set, and answer the question whether or not the update is effective or not. We're going to start our story today with technically 3 bots, or at least 3 pieces, so stick around and we're going to take a look at how this guy comes in a package and finally work our way up to the surprisingly large robot mode in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share, check out Machinery of Men, the Everything Factor. Have a look for me everywhere. Why not spend some time on the channel, see what tickles your fancy. Hey, watch Universal Collision. I'm slowly working on season 2 right now. And I became really curious about this guy. Not because I'm a huge fan of the Unicron trilogy. If you follow the channel for any length of time, you know that I'm kind of not. But I became curious after the whole Siege on Cybertron update. Now, this is how the Armada version comes in a package. And this was sort of the color scheme that I expected the one from Siege on Cybertron to have, and he did not. Right now, we have Tidal Wave here, and he's in 3 distinct pieces, and these 3 distinct pieces all, I guess, have a role, if you will. Like, this piece is a battleship, battle cruiser type of vehicle. This is a troop deployment vehicle, and this is the aircraft carrier. And all 3 of these have little features to them. But before we get into these 3 sections, we're going to start off with if I can do it. We're going to start off with this little storage freight elevator thing. By the way, on the other side over here, this piece can move down if that's any good to you, and it moves up, really is for transformation. But this little storage compartment area is for, though he popped out, the minicon that comes with this guy, and that is where we're going to begin and have a look here first at Ramjet. Now, I would propose to you that Fathom from the Siege set is supposed to be somewhat reminiscent of this. When we think of, and I'll bring this guy in closer, when we think of Ramjet, I don't think that this is exactly what we think of. Yes, he's a little jet, but it's certainly not the rendition of the character that I think of. Still, if you're a huge fan of Armada, maybe this is exactly what you think of when you picture Ramjet. He's a little jet. He has his little minicon connection port here on the bottom. Right now he's all folded up, and to transform him you put up the wings, you bring back, put up the wings and bring back the nose cone, flip out an arm, flip out another arm, bring down his legs at the knees and bring them all the way down, and flip up his toes. And you end up with a little robot like this. Kind of like Titan Masters, he's able to get in a seated position. His legs are joined together as one piece. He can bend at the elbows forward. That's about it. This isn't a great figure, but again, I'm gonna give this about a 2, like I would with Titan Masters. And like I said, I think that Fathom here. It's supposed to kind of be reminiscent of this guy with the purple and the gray, even though it is used quite differently between the two. But it's probably supposed to be an update to him. I really don't know. I'm taking a shot in the dark here. Of course, Ramjet at least turns into a jet. All this guy turns into is a head. So there you go. Ramjet, overall, he's a 2 like Titan Masters would be a 2. So we're going to just take him out of it, and we're going to use him again in a little bit. And we're going to bring in the Dark Fleet, as it is known, again here. Now, I should point out that I looked at Tidal Wave, the Siege on Cybertron version. I looked at him and the entire Siege on Cybertron set not too long ago in episode 304. So this is really being done just not as a review of that guy, it's a review of this guy, but it's really being done as a comparative analysis, let's call it. So far we have, again, about a 2 for the little Minicon. I'm not big on these little bots. I mean, he's easy to transform, so that's great and whatnot, but the articulation is terrible. It's just, I don't know. Minicons were never my thing, and I guess Titan Masters aren't particularly my thing either. Now, of course, we start off here with 3 different modes. That is something that's completely different from what we have in Titan's Return, because in Titan's Return, we don't have 3 modes for Tidal Wave. We do, however, have, I guess, an alternate mode that should probably be mentioned, and this is probably the only place where it's at least somewhat appropriate to mention it. The Siege on Cybertron version uses the broadside mold, and as such, he is capable of turning into a plane. Of course, a plane is not really accurate for Tidal Wave, but what do you do? That being said, though he's transformed extremely rough here now, and very, very quickly, just to prove the point, here he is in, I'll back this up a bit. Here he is in his plane mode. I think that this is supposed to kind of take the place of the fact that there were 3, you know, separate vehicles before. But that being said, I think that having the 3 separate vehicles was absolutely, positively brilliant. And we're going to look at each one really quickly. So I'm going to take this out of it, and I'm going to take this out of it, because we can look at the bow, the front here, pretty quickly. It's an aircraft carrier. This, of course, is definitely the mode that is most reminiscent of what we're getting with the Titan's Return update. Although, that being said, I think the Titan's Return update is supposed to actually be more indicative of the kind of final combined mode, and we'll get to that in a bit. Like I said, this has a section here that can move up and a section here that can move up. You know, his hands are just out front. The Decepticon symbol up here on the nose, take note of that as well. It looks, you know, it looks pretty good. I put the arm connectors back here. Although that being said, the arm connector sections, to me anyway, are really reminiscent of what we get with Combiner Wars for connectivity. And connectivity. I think I said that right. And I think that's really cool, because I thought that that was an absolutely brilliant system. So there you go, we got that. That is numero uno. We're going to take that out of it and bring in part number 2. Part number 2 is the little battleship thing here. And the little battleship thing, I think is kind of cool. It has a double bow, you know, to it. I think that that's sort of neat. We have Minicon ports here and here. We have Minicon ports, where else? I don't know, there's a couple more. But the one up right here, but the one that I'm really interested in is the one right there. Because if you put a Minicon on it, and of course it won't do it now with me just pushing, but if I take Ramjet and put them on, and I think if I push it down, yeah, if I push it down, the little gun turrets here move. So that's sort of the feature in this mode. And again, it looks cool. I think that looks all right. You'll notice that there's more green now. Apparently, from what I've read and from what I understand, originally the color scheme was going to be far more accurate to the way he looked in the program. But the concern at the time, from what I understand, the concern at the time was that there were various Decepticon characters on the shelves that had a lot of purple, and they figured, hey, it's going to be just too much purple, so they changed up the color scheme a bit. That being said, again, from my limited, I should say, understanding, the Japanese version is pretty darn accurate to the way that he looked on screen. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, because it's going to kind of come up again a little bit later. So we're going to take this out of it, and we're going to bring in what I think is the coolest section, and that's this. It is the troop transport, I think is what it's called, and it looks big and bulky. All of these, by the way, again, from my understanding, are supposed to be aquatic crafts, so take that as you will. But that's kind of what I have been led to believe. This thing doesn't look like much right away here. It does have a couple of Minicon ports up here and a couple right here. But this thing can do this. We open down a wing, and we open down a wing, and we open up both of these sections in here. And then I was trying to figure out, why are these things on hinges? Because I didn't have any instructions. And what I learned is you can bring that down, and bring that down, and this down, and this down. And now you have 4 seats in here for characters to be able to ride this huge guy on. I think that that's so cool. You know, you can unleash a surprise attack on your enemy. Come on. How is that not an outstanding feature? Or at least, I think it's an outstanding feature. So there's our 3 separate sections. And again, like I said, this is the way that the guy comes in package. We're going to put them together now as one large battleship. And it is quite large. So we're going to close these seats up. And close that up, and close that up. And that. And we bring those down. These are going to go opened a little bit. I'm going to bring those back. Actually, I'm going to really bring this back, because this guy's going to get pretty darn big. We're going to bring those back, and you'll notice that we have this hinge up right here. And that hinge is going to go into another part of this guy. Namely, this section. Now, that being said, if you wanted to, and I'll just do it here for argument's sake, you can put those together, and you can bring this up and bring this, I'm not going to tab it in right now, but you can bring this up on the side. And technically you can have jet mode. A lot of people have done this as a fan mode and called it like a double bow, whatever, jet. And this might be what the inspiration is for the jet mode in the Titan's Return version, possibly. But of course, this is not the way it's supposed to be. That being said, if you want, you can also take that piece off and come with this center section again and open out that shoulder hinge and open out that shoulder hinge. And now we have like an opening, I guess I should show this, an opening in here and in here. And those 2 openings are what the bow, the aircraft carrier part can go into. So I'm going to put each of those in. Actually take it apart to do it because it's easier. Snap that piece in, and snap that piece in, and now bring those together. And you have a larger aircraft carrier like a battleship aircraft carrier, which I think is cool. But of course we're not done, because all three sections can go together. And we bring that in and incorporate it up there. Bring those down, and boom. Here is our enormous aircraft carrier. I think that this is amazing. I absolutely love it. There are supposed to be torpedoes in here. They're not there. I have to thank Andrew, friend of the channel, for letting me take a look at this. I don't own this, he does. But it is a phenomenal piece, and he does have those torpedo pieces and, you know, his weapons and whatnot. It's just, I kind of picked this guy up on a, you know, as I was going past his house on a whim, and you know, just took him as is. That being said, there is the huge battleship mode. Here is the updated one from Titan's Return. Much smaller. Let's get this guy up to show it off. And this guy. I mean, come on, he can almost go on the, you know, flight deck of the original figure. Much smaller. Now it does splay out well, but it's definitely not as big as the original. No doubt. So, for articulation, transformation, coloring, you'll notice I haven't given a score yet. I'm going to wait, I'm going to give all the scores in robot mode. And speaking of which, let's get right into that one now. Okay, so where do we begin? Bring down the leg. Actually, bring out the leg. And then swivel the whole hinge right up here and bring it down. Bring out the leg. Right there. Swivel the whole hinge. Bring it down. And this is what we're going to be going for. Obviously, like I said, it's going to get quite large. So I'm going to try and fit them all in. But we'll do it a bit at a time. Open up those little sections. Open out that and bring that down. Open out that and bring that down. And there are his legs done. Now we need to deal with the upper body. And this is when things start to get challenging for us because of the size that this guy gets. So I'm going to lay him down for now so that we can still deal with this, you know, with some semblance of sensibility. Okay, so we take the whole lower section here and we turn it around. How do I know that we needed to turn it around? Because here's his chest. So we wanted the front of the legs, of course, to be facing out there. No problem. We come up here and we split the whole thing. And we come to the chest and we swivel it around. And we bring those arms down. Okay, so I'll show it here. I'll show it here on this side. We split the arms. Now we need to take the green pontoon section, and there's a, see if I can show this because it's tight. There's a gray section in here, and this gray section needed to go split open, but now you need to swing up the entire green section around it and bring that down by the body and then bring that down. And now we have a very tall bot, and I'm going to have to back this up for sure. Like I said, very tall bot. We're not quite done with this transformation, but we're getting there. You turn his forearm around, you bring out his thumb, and you angle out, if I can get them, you angle out his fingers. And you do the same on the other side. You turn the forearm, swivel out his thumb, and angle his fingers. And of course, you pull up the head. And this is Tidal Wave in robot mode. Now, the best thing to do, I find, and you know, what do I know, but I find the best thing to do is use the mini-con port right there and just put Ramjet on there. It's the way I got him, and I think it, you know, matches well. Of course, you can still use the chest cannon sections there. But this is Tidal Wave, and you'll notice that we have a mix of grays, we have a mix of greens, and we have a mix of purples. Okay, so let's get into some grading here. First things first, the coloring. He should have been accurate to the animation, especially if they had him accurate and then decided to change. Like if that rumor that I read, you know, or urban legend, whatever you want to call it, is true, then I think that's a real shame, because now, knowing what I know, though this was the coloring I expected on the Titans Return version, honestly, I can only give it about a 6. The places where there are red probably should have been orange. The gray is fine. Most of the purple is fine, but the places that are green should really also have been purple, or at least some version thereof. I think I was a little bit hard when I gave my grade to the Titans Return version, because it's not what I expected. But truth is, the coloring of the Titans Return version is really more like a good 8.5, because it is actually more accurate. So right there, in terms of coloring, as much as I don't want to admit it, I think the Titans Return version wins. When we talk about transformation, this guy can do so much. It's a 10. All of it is easy. He's so versatile. He got little hidden cool gimmicks everywhere. He can have so many mini-cons on him. It's easily a 10. So we have a 6 for his paint. We have a 10 for his transformation. Right now he's getting an 8. Let's look at his articulation for the time. The shoulder could go all the way around, out to the side. Technically we had a swivel. It's not a bicep swivel, but we still had it at the elbow, 90-degree elbow. The thumb moves, the fingers move, all ratcheted, by the way. The head, it can't really do anything, actually. Interesting. These, of course, sections can move with the help of a mini-con. Getting the arms there out of the way. The legs can go really all the way out, do full splits. They can go forward that far, they can go back that far. We have a hinge that goes out and a hinge that goes in, but it doesn't seem like he has a knee. And he doesn't. That's a shame. The toes tilt forward and back. No thigh swivel because of the hinge that's used up here. Everything is ratcheted. It's great on the guy, but no knee is a real downer. Real downer, even for the time. Still, I'm going to give his articulation, because everything is ratcheted and solid. This is an older toy and whatnot. I'm still going to give the articulation about a 7. I'm being kind because I think he's so cool. Of course, these can still open here. Because there's so much he can do. He is so incredibly versatile. There's so much he can do, but a knee really would have helped. Overall, he's about a 7. Now, that being said, here he is next to the Titans Return version. Not nearly as much of an imposing behemoth. And for some reason, the face sculpt on Fathom, well, I guess the face sculpt on, you know, this smaller version, it looks wrong to me, because it looks like He has like a mustache is the only way I can think of to describe it. I guess it's the way the painting is done on the face, but it looks like a not a handlebar mustache, but the one, mustache that comes down on the sides. This seems like a more accurate head sculpt. The chest hair is certainly stylized, like the purple on the two landing sections is obviously supposed to be reminiscent of these purple gun turrets. The orange in the center, well, that's not exactly right. If anything, that should be gray. This is a case of I can see what they were going for. He does have knee articulation, so some might like that. It's an okay version, but I don't think it's the true update that fans want for a real tidal wave. And truth is, you know what? Honestly, you could throw in a thigh swivel and a knee on this guy and just really release this mold with those slight improvements. And I think you'd have a real winner. Just how big is he? Well, if you've ever wondered exactly how big this guy is, and I'll move him over. Here he is next to a Combiner Wars Combiner being Computron. I looked at Computron in full in episode 149 and the custom work I did on him in episode 150, but head to head, his antennae are down, but head to head, he's pretty much the size of a Combiner Wars Combiner, which is about a foot tall. Yes, I think that this works. I think that this is a good size for him because, and here's why, he's supposed to be huge and imposing. I think he's probably, in the modern era, a leader class update would probably be better than a Voyager, but it's the sort of thing where he should still be bigger than that. I don't know, I don't feel like Tidal Wave is as big as like a Metroplex or a Triptychon, but I feel like, yeah, he could definitely rival Combiners for sure. I think that this would work great. Is this guy worth getting? Yes, totally. If you can score him, do it. I still think that this is the tidal wave to have. If you can get the correctly colored one from Japan, which I think was called Shockwave actually, oddly enough, get that one. But if not, this one is fantastic. I'm scoring it an overall score of about a 7, and the only reason that it's not a 10, and the only reason that I'm being hard enough to call it a 7 is because the green shouldn't be there, even though I sort of expected to see that on the Titans Return version. And I wish he had knees. Besides that, this guy is fantastic and certainly worthy of kind of a place of honor among the Decepticon ranks. Is this one worth getting? I wouldn't go hunting for him, but since I got him, what are you gonna do? Anyway, that's it for Armada Tidal Wave. Again, I thank Andrew for letting me take a look at his. Let me know what you guys think of this guy. It's now an older toy for sure, but still a standout as fantastic. As always, I thank you for dropping by, giving me some of your valuable time, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the video.